Hey everyone! So, I've got this really cool fully automatic door that I figured I'd make a video on because in my efforts to look up automatic flood doors, I wasn't able to find anything that worked exactly how I wanted it to. And with some help from my friends, a lot of help, I was able to put together a system here that works, I think, is the best flood door that I've ever seen. So, first I'll show you what it does, show you it in action, and then we'll hop into the editor and I'll show you how to make it. So, what I've got here, this door is controlled by two separate systems. I'm going to sort of explain it in English. It's got the motion detector, and then it's got a bunch of components, of course, and water detectors. So, very simply, you move to the door, it opens, you move away from it, it closes. And that's the same whether the ship is flooded or not. And that's a big difference between this flood door and a lot of other flood doors, is that this one will still open even if there's water. And I find that preferable to having to fuss with it. So, and in fact, in the next design of this door, I use the doors that don't even have the buttons on them, so it's a completely buttonless, fully automatic design. Anyway, on to the important part, because this automatic deflood system is the best feature. So what I'll go ahead and do, first I'll show it, and then I'll explain it. So let me cut a hole here, and as you can see, the door is already opening over there. And I want to get this room flooded. Alright. So, it's trying to drain this room. And actually, this door has stopped opening because somehow... Oh, because I got a breach up here. I made a hole earlier. But that's a good opportunity to see it in action. So if we go in this room now... You'll see it's letting this room drain. And then once this room gets low, that door is going to start toggling. Alright, so if I go over there and fix the breach, right? Now let's see what happens. Watch how quickly this room drains. Right? Nice, huh? So, let's hop into the editor here and open up this sub. And I'll show you how it works, how to make it. Now, I will leave a comment and with a little cheat sheet of the components. So even if you don't necessarily understand how this works by the end of it, but you really should, then you should just be able to copy all the component setups and make it work. So we'll look at this door here. They're all the same, but, well, they're almost all the same. And explain this. So, to put it in English, I sort of explained it already, but there's two systems that control the door. I'm explaining it this way, half English, half programming, because that's what these are, or, and, greater than. It's programming language. So I'm going to explain it half in English and half in programming language. So there's two systems that control the door. They've got the motion detector system, just opening based on player proximity. That's system 1. System 2 is the automatic deflood system. Now, we want the door to open if system 1 or system 2 gives us a positive value. So the OR component is the one that's connected to the door, right? So system 1, motion detector, or system 2, which is controlled by the AND component here, is true, then we output a positive value to the door. And so the OR component controls the door. Now, it's important to note here that for the sake of simplicity and the way this is set up, there's a lot of what can be confusing about these systems is that sometimes these output and false output, sometimes you want to reverse these, sometimes you want that false output to be nothing. When I was trying to create this system with my friends, this was a large pain point, trying to figure out whether we wanted to leave some of it blank and just trying to get it to act right. And everything here is set up in the common sense way, meaning all of the water detectors and the motion detector, everything is set up so that the output is 1 and the false output is 0, with one exception. The greater component is reversed. And I'll explain that when I get to it. But everything else, the water detectors here, the positive output is 1 and the false output is 0. Okay? So, anyway, back to the English explanation here. So again, system 1, motion detector, and that's, I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than this. It's literally just, that's the entire system 1 is just the motion detector. And I'll have all of these settings. You can pause the video, or I'll have it in the comment below. I've got the ranges here, and the detect offset, which just makes the detector act right. But that's basic stuff. That really has nothing to do with the door here. Now, on to the special part, the auto deflood system. Here's how this works. So this is controlled by the AND component. And what this does is it's using a water detector in both rooms. Now, the way this works is water detector 1, it's looking at if there's water. So what this does is it's trying to drain the rooms toward the ballast. Okay? So the way I explain it is there's a previous room and there's a next room. The previous room is the one further away from the ballast, and the next room is the one closer to the ballast, or just wherever you want the water to go. So it's looking at, for signal 1 here, it's looking at if there's water in the previous room at all. So that's the signal out on the water detector. Now, room 2, the next room, is a little more complicated, and that's controlled by the greater component here. What this is looking at is if the water level in the next room is less than 5%, then it'll give a true value. Now, that is why the greater component is reversed, because it's actually very simple. We're turning it into a less than component. And so the value on this, where is it? The value, oh, it's in the memory component. Right. So it's very simple. The greater component here is looking at the water percentage, not the signal out, as the previous water detector. Signal out, because that's just looking at a true false. Is there water? Is there not water? But this one is looking at the water percentage, because we want to keep the water in this room at a minimum, at just 5%. And the reason this room got flooded there at the start was because I had a hole above the door because I was trying to reveal the components. But, yeah, we're just looking at... Now, don't get confused by these extra wires here, because this is just... this one going to the pump has nothing to do with the system. That is just purely turning on the pump if there's water in the room. So I'm just getting multiple uses out of the same detectors, and really I don't know why there's two detectors in one room, but oh, that's the height difference. Anyway, let's not get distracted here. So, greater component. If the water percentage in the next room is less than, and then it's looking at the memory component here, and the memory component is set to a value of 5. So, less than 5%, and then it'll output, if both of these are true, or if this evaluates to true, it'll send it back to the AND component here. So again, putting it in English. AND component. If you have water in the previous room, okay, and the water in the next room is less than 5%, open the door. Otherwise, close the door. And then that gets outputted back to the OR component. Now, really, you could actually have the output, the false output, on the AND component. That could probably be blank, because the OR component defaults to, if it doesn't have a positive value here, it's already going to output. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It works either way. Just overcomplicating things. But that's it. That's all there is to it. Now, hopefully you understood that. I believe that's all there is to say. So I'll wrap it up here. And thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe.